Cruz, Trump, and Phelan. Let's get dialed in. The three most consequential and important political races for Texans in the coming months are Ted Cruz retaining his seat in the United States Senate, Donald Trump taking back the White House in November, and Dade Phelan being replaced as Speaker of the Texas House next January. Ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your cowboy hats because today we've got a Texas firecracker in the house to help us cut through the noise and break down the latest buzz on all three of these races. She's the voice of common sense in a world gone wild. The woman who can make politics as entertaining as a Saturday night rodeo, and she's never afraid to call it like she sees it. I'm talking about Kambree Nelson, host of Kambree from the Texas Scorecard lineup. Kambree, welcome to Texas Talkin. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me on. I'm ready.
Absolutely. Let's have some fun. So the latest polling shows Senator Cruz leading by anywhere from 8 to 10 points, depending on what poll you look at. What needs to happen for Texas Ted to ensure victory in November?
Oh, let me tell you, don't want to hurt a lot of people's feelings, but I'm going to be honest. We are about really 1 to 2 points. It's that close. This race is a lot tighter than what most people really understand. It's a very, very tight race. The Democrats have pushed so much money into this race, into this state of Texas. Chuck Schumer is coming for him. The Democrats are coming for him. Really, the main thing is people have to come out to vote. The Democrats have been very, very strategic when it comes to how they're portraying Colin Allred. They're trying to portray him as a moderate.
Yeah.
They're trying to fool the voters. They are doing the whole duck and hide, kind of like what they used with Kamala Harris, with what they've used with
Biden,
what they've done with him, and basically out of sight, out of mind. Because if you're out of sight and out of mind, then you don't have to answer questions, number one, and then you don't have to start asking questions, number two. So the main thing that I know that Ted Cruz is really adamant about, because it's something the left is adamant about, is voting early. And I know a lot of that's actually something that some people in the Republican Party don't like me even saying. I've actually got into it with a lot of people about that.
So have I.
Are very involved in that. And then Ted was like, we really have to vote early. Yes, we do have to vote early. We must vote early.
Yes.
That's very important, because there is a one-liner that I will say no matter where I speak in the state of Texas is Democrats fight to win and Republicans fight to not lose.
I love that. I've never heard that, but that's so true.
There's a big, that I could go into big detail with that, but Cruz is fighting to win right now. He is all over the state of Texas. He is talking to voters. We have Democrats for Cruz right now that are coming out for him because they're tired of what is happening with the voter, happening with the border.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, there's so much I could go into it. But the big thing really is with Cruz. Everyone knows who Ted Cruz is.
Yes.
But the problem is nobody really knows who Colin Allred is other than his NFL. He played football. And that's because the difference between Colin Allred and who was running, before Colin Allred, we have two totally different. Beto O'Rourke. O'Rourke was this charismatic guy. Everyone knew who he was. He was pandering, but people loved him. And so right now we have a guy that is a champion for the border. That's exactly who Colin Allred says he is. He's not.
No, he's not.
He's not a champion for the border. His latest ad that just came out, his wife, he's using his wife in his ad that just came out. His wife sued a facility in California to release illegal aliens. And one of the people she was going for to be released was actually wanted for assault.
Wow.
So there's so much that goes into Colin Allred, and he actually said there's not going to be a border wall in this country. So they're doing a lot with the left, with kind of like what they're doing. They're with the same playbook with Kamala Harris. They're trying to prop her up as a moderate, but he's not. Yeah. So they're trying to prop him up and saying, yeah, I'm for the border. No, he's not for the border. So they're keeping him out of sight, out of mind, so he doesn't ask questions and out of mind, especially like with fracking. Everything what he's done with fracking, things with the Democrats in the House with the fracking. He's missing in action when it comes to fracking, but then he just shows up with other things. So when it really comes with Ted Cruz, big time, you got to show up early to vote. I say pack the cars, get people in the car and Bring people with you. And if, he's for anti-fracking, people do not realize how much money that is going to affect Texas if he goes in and wants to stop all this stuff with the federal, with fracking on federal land. I mean,
Drilling
there's a lot.
permits.
Absolutely. I mean, that the $65 million that affects Texas when it comes to fracking right now. And he's very quiet when it comes to stuff like that.
I think
So
the
if he wants
most
to remove those type of jobs, that's 120,000 jobs in Texas. And a lot of money that would be removed from the state. But he's staying away from some of those topics because he wants to do the flip-flopping jobs and let the media do the work for him. And he's doing very, 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 very small rallies and campaigns. But Senator Ted Cruz is out there in the people. And when I go to an event and Ted Cruz is there, he is shaking people's hands. He is talking to every single person before he leaves. Yes, he will talk to people until the last person leaves, and then Ted will leave the event. So he wants to talk to people. He listens to their issues because that's how he is. Then he gets on his podcast and he talks about it at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. When he gets back to the hotel, it doesn't matter. Him and Ben are on the phone. So that's how he is. So you really have to go look at his record, because there's one thing about Ted. He does what he says he's going to do.
And he fights. He fights.
Yes.
He won't even let the reporters give him any flack. No, I saw a video recently where he turned it right around on them when they were asking him kind of a leading attacking question. So Cruz is very good about fighting. I think the most important point you brought up, Kambree, is showing up to vote early. The Democrats do it. We know they do it. It should not be a controversial subject among us Republicans, but in fact it is. And I get pushback for that as well. But look, if you wait until election day, it's leaving way too many things up to chance. We saw the outcome of that in this past primary runoff between Dade Phelan and David Covey, because most of our people did not show up and vote early the way they did in the primary. You get bad weather, you get a storm. Any number of things can happen that make people think, well, maybe I'll just stay home and not vote. We can't afford to do that. This election is too important.
No, we can't, because something's about to happen. We can get into that in a little bit. Is that the Democrats are about to turn on the women machine.
Yes.
Come October. And when it comes to this race specifically, Ted Cruz is doing very well with men. Colin Allred is doing very well with women. So that's not really talked about a lot, but that's something that the women that are supporters of Ted Cruz, especially when it comes to the border, with the trafficking, with the sex trafficking, with the drugs, with the fentanyl that has children, all of that, that's very, very important, especially with moms, with grandmas, people that have children. That needs to be talked about. So we do need to talk to more women when it comes to this race. Is a very, this is the most important race. There's a reason that the GOP and the RNC decided to do the next presidential convention in Houston in 2028.
Yes.
And that is because they know that Texas is up for grabs.
We lose Texas, we lose it all.
That's why it's here in 2028 in your backyard, is because they know we're okay right now, but in 2028, swing states.
Yeah.
That's why they pick specific states. That's the specific reason why. So his campaign is crucial. This is the most crucial campaign in the whole, because they're coming after Senate and they're coming after Texas.
They are, and in some ways they do it nefariously. I want to drill down for a moment for kind of a more local perspective on things, and that is Texas state politics. So there's now 4 state representatives challenging Dade Phelan for the Speaker's gavel in the Texas House. We've got Tom Oliverson, who announced first, Shelby Slauson, David Cook, and James Frank. Kambree, what are your thoughts on having such a crowded field? And more importantly, who do you think wins?
I honestly, I started asking around, kind of like, who are your thoughts on this and this? And not really anybody's giving me an answer on who they want. But I do see a commonality. I think it's interesting that we do have chairmen for some of these committees that are actually coming up and saying, considering that Dade Phelan is garnering multi-millionaires, donors, big lobbyists and donors in his corner. I'm not necessarily sure who wins this. I'm hoping that, considering that we do have 45 Republicans coming in, new Republicans coming in to down into Austin, that we can pull this off. I do like them all. I do like Tom Oliverson. I think they all have one thing in common, that is ending committee Democrat chair positions.
Yes.
I do agree. One thing with Luke Macias said is that if a Democrat brings something to a table and it is something that is wonderful that can help the state of Texas,
sure,
by all means. I'm the same way too, because I'm sorry, I will criticize a Republican just as easy as I will criticize, a Democrat. I told Trump that to his face. I was like, I will hold you accountable. And he was like, go for it. I mean, I said the same thing to him. I like absolutely all of them. My two favorites are actually no, I like David Cook and I like Tom. Those two are the ones I like. I'm not really familiar with every single of the other ones. But I do like those two. I honestly think anybody is better than Dade Phelan. Uh, I think everyone thinks anybody's David better than Dade Phelan. We're only one of a couple other states that has Democrats chairing committees.
Yes.
And then that's to me is
It's
absolutely
insane.
ridiculous.
Well,
Yes,
it's
it's
insane. I mean,
absolutely insane.
it's like giving the opposing team two possession scores ahead of you in a football game and saying, "Let's start the game out that way." It is
Yeah.
absolutely nuts. I talked to Matt Rinaldi the other night about it, and we were having the exact same conversation. You go to other states, and people they think you're lying to them when you tell them that we do that here because it's so out there.
No, what it is, it's fraud. I mean, this is literally like fraud. You literally have Dade Phelan, who's running as a Republican, frauding the people
Empowering the
and saying that,
Democrats.
and he's a Democrat. He has a Democrat now. He has a Democrat now. What is it, Toomey? That is chief of
Yes,
staff. He's not
yes,
going to
his
stay
new
around
chief of
long. He's
staff.
just
Yeah.
he's his new
Adam-
chief of staff. He's not a Republican. So I mean, and honestly, you have people falling for this guy, voting for him. He has Democrats voting for him. He's just using an R, and he's a fraud going out there getting the votes. And then you come back and he's like, "I'm a Republican."
Well,
No, you're not.
he may be a
He's not.
fraud. He may be a fraud in quite the literal sense. I don't know if you saw the breaking news story yesterday out of Houston, but there was a major investigative report that came out indicating
Right.
that he has used a state airplane to go
Yep.
to campaign events, which, according to Texas state law, is illegal if you're collecting
Yes.
donations and using the state
Donation.
plane to go and
What?
do that.
30 something thousand dollars,
Yes.
and you went to a college football game on that.
And of course, no
Um,
media around here in the Beaumont area has touched the story at all. Were it not for yours truly, it wouldn't be
right.
out anywhere in locally in Beaumont.
It's crazy because it was probably a Republican hit story. Republicans are jumping all over. Like
That's
all
what I was
of
just gonna
us are
say.
like, yeah,
Well, and I think even his friends, his longtime friends in kind of the
right,
Republican establishment, the TLR people, et cetera, et cetera,
right.
I think they're done with him and they're trying to kind of push him out.
Well, I think they could be because I'm noticing some of the folks that they are donating to, which is some of the new people that
Yes,
have come in. I think Dave Phelan believes that he possibly still, because he still has 53 other folks that he's trying to rally in the Democrats. I mean, now that he has Rick Perry, which kind of took me by surprise just a little bit. I don't know where that comes into play other than
casino lobbying.
definitely casino lobbying, the casino lobbying, or I believe that there is still which is happening in other states for sure. There is an America First GOP and there is the traditional establishment GOP. So there
Correct.
is a power struggle right now.
Yes.
So the Bush GOP is trying to
Yep.
take back over the Republican Party, and it's happening in South Carolina. I
All over
mean,
the
they're
country.
wanting all over. They're wanting it back. So they're
Yes.
tapping it off. I mean, even Nikki Haley got some MAGA folks back on her or in her team. So they are. It's a power struggle to bring the old GOP back.
That's such a smart
From
point.
Trump.
Such a smart
That's what's
point because
happening.
it is what's happening, and that's another
Yeah.
reason why this election is so important. Because in my view, we can never go back to that old establishment GOP that puts the interests of the corporate elite and the
Yeah.
Chamber of Commerce cocktail party club ahead of the
Right.
needs of regular everyday people. That's the Republican Party that I'm proud to be a part of.
Yeah. Well, that's what they're trying to go. They're trying to go back to that. And
Yes.
I even see that happening in the Texas GOP.
Yep.
I still see that power. I see a power struggle kind of going on right now. People are trying to kind of gain their foot right now, their footing right now, and I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it. I do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The
But
last thing I
they
wanted
just
to
haven't got it yet.
the last thing I wanted to talk to you about, Kambree, is about the man who started the MAGA movement itself, and that is, of course, former
Right.
President Donald Trump. The corporate fake news media are constantly trying to persuade voters that President Trump doesn't have a path to victory. However, I looked at Nate Silver's most recent predictive model, and it gives Trump a dramatic 60.1% chance of winning this election. What are your thoughts on the presidential race as it currently stands?
I'll be honest. I will be honest. I have I think this is going to be a tight race. And I'm honest. Typically, when I'm in front of a room, I say, "Do I give you permission to be honest?" And I'm always going to be
Yeah,
honest with
don't lie
people
to
how
us,
I think
Kambree.
things. No,
I
not at
want the
all.
honest truth. Give it to me
Um,
straight.
I think this is going to be a very tight race. In 2016, people hated Hillary Clinton more than they liked Trump.
That's true.
In 2020, people hated Trump more than they liked
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden. If you look at the numbers in 2016, they were tight. Um, we knew just from going in with Kamala Harris, I was like, oh my goodness, the media is going to frame him. The media is running Kamala Harris's campaign.
Yes. Yes. They
That is
ran the
what is
debate
happening.
the other night.
They ran the debate. Oh, since 2016, I have known the second he gets on that debate stage, you had better be prepared.
Yep.
Number one, she was going to have the questions ready. She was going to have the answers. She was going to have the follow up. She was going to be prepared. The people were looking at that debate not about policy. It was who has the best tone and who is more likable.
Who's nicer?
That is it.
Yep.
That is it. As for this election, I have some concerns because I pick up on what they are telling the American people. As today, I watched the Kamala Harris rally to see what she's saying. And there's something that is repetitive that they are saying. He's never going back in that White House.
Okay.
Never going back. It's like social engineering masses. I mean, this is literally what they have him saying, repetitive.
Over and over and over again.
We will never let a man. Often. They will do that often. And when you see these people in Congress saying, if he wins the election, Congress is not going to validate. We're not going to validate this. Wow. We're not going to certify the election. He's never going back.
Wow.
Yes, look up the videos.
That's stunning.
So this is why we have to, this is another thing. We have to win down ballot.
Yes.
I don't care where you live watching this. You have family and friends in other countries. I've been screaming for a year. Get out of DC and you get your ass on the ground. You get out, you get on the ground, and we have to win down ballot. Ted Cruz has to win down ballot. Every Oklahoma, we have to flip seats. So we need everyone in the House. We need everyone in the House to win, because I have friends that are in DC that are saying, we're not going to win the House. We have to win the House.
Yes.
The House is going to certify this election. So, yes, can they pull off what they pulled off in possibly 2020? I don't believe so.
I think there are way too many eyes on them.
Absolutely. Now, but what they keep saying is, even Michelle Obama said it, we can't let a man who did in the election, he cannot be, but we can't allow him back. Allow him. And today she was like, he can't go back. We can't allow him back. So I'm watching the verbiage. And so when I think of different ways what they try, and then you look up a New York Post story about what did they just for what January 6, 2025, the Department of Homeland Security just declared a day for extra security for that day, because that's the day they're going to certify this thing.
Okay.
So that's why I'm saying is we have to be very vigilant.
Yes.
On this election. So we win this thing. We have to make sure we don't just win it in the White House, that we win this down ballot, because winning down ballot can ensure that we win the White House as well. This is strategy. This is strategic, because I'm not going off of my theories. I'm going off what the Democrats are saying in interviews.
What they're telling us. Sure.
They've already said it. And this is, sorry to interrupt you. When a Democrat tells you what they're going to do,
you can better believe they do it. That's right.
Absolutely. And I can send you the video after this is over. And when you hear it, like, I goosebumps. I'm believing them. So I am always like, I'm always going to be prepared. And if they don't do it, then I'm like, then what are they up to? I'm always like, you have to be 50 steps ahead of the left, because Democrats are fighting to win. Right now, we're fighting to not lose. Right now, I heard just even on the news, the Democrats have 300 to 400 presidential campaign offices in states.
Wow.
I feel like we're fighting for the midterms and they're fighting for the presidency right now.
You brought up, I thought, a very important point earlier when you were talking about women and how they're being turned out for the Democrats, whether it's for Colin Allred here in Texas or for Kamala Harris in the presidential race. I want to give you an opportunity to speak to the women who are watching this show. Unlike our foes on the left, I don't struggle at all with being able to define what a woman is and identify a woman. You're a woman, Kambree, and so I think the issue that they try and use is kind of the wedge issue for women is, of course, abortion. And I thought that Donald Trump in the presidential debate the other night missed a key opportunity because he allows Kamala to phrase that narrative. In other words, she paints him as this antagonistic villain who wants to deny women access to what she calls health care, which is abortion, is what she was talking about.
Right.
I thought Trump could have easily turned that back around. And when she said, we don't want people, especially not you, Donald Trump, making laws that affect a woman's choice to care for her own body, he could have easily said, Ms. Harris, I'm not, nor is anybody else, trying to pass laws that would restrict women from making choices about their body. The laws we're concerned with are the ones protecting the body inside of her. What are your
Right.
thoughts
And
on that issue?
I mean, right.
As a
Another
woman?
thing that, yeah, I mean, another way that he could have phrased that as well is women want to be able to make that own decision. What he could have easily said is, I gave it back to them and put them into their own state.
Yes,
So if
he
the women
tried to
aren't
do that.
happy, yeah, I mean, now you want to put it back into Washington, D.C. and have people from the other states making the decision for them. How much closer do they want the law? I'm giving you the ability to make it in your own backyard, so you can say, this is what I want in my own state, and it's still not even good enough. It's never going to be good enough until you get your way.
Right. Well,
So,
and the
I
truth
mean,
is
yeah,
that they want unfettered access to abortion right up through the 9th month of pregnancy. He was
absolutely.
absolutely right when he said that. It's 100% the truth. They may not be willing to admit it, but that's what they want.
Right. No, you're exactly right. And I think when it comes to the left and when it comes to with Kamala, they call her like the champion of this. I mean, it is going to be hard. And it's hard having a discussion with a man and a woman um, about this type of conversation because Kamala can probably talk him, like off the ledge when it comes to this because they call her like the pro. Um, I think he did the best he could in that type of situation.
It's a tough
She knew that
spot.
this was her moment, that this was her moment to actually take it because in the months of September and October is when the Democrats unleashed the women to go out and vote. And this is when they got us in 2018, 2020, and 2022 is when they unleashed the women vote. Katrina Pearson and I talk about this. She's like, get ready for October because October is when the Democrats unleash the women. The women are compassionate. They go out and they go out in numbers. The women out because here's the thing: the Democrats thrive on fear,
Yes.
and they always have to have a victim.
Yes,
That's what
absolutely.
people don't realize. There always has to be fear. There always have to be a victim, and there always has to be chaos. So when
Yes.
they start pushing the abortion, is when they start pushing the fear and they push the chaos. Then they have the victim. Then they rile up the women, they get the women out there, and then boom, they go out and they go full force. And that is something that the Republican Party does not do.
It's
They don't
always
get the
identity
women out there.
politics. It's always identity
It
politics, whether it's
absolutely,
women,
but
race.
it works.
It does. It does.
But it works,
We let them
and
frame the
it's sad.
narrative.
We do. We let them. That's why I'm saying Democrats fight to win, Republicans
Yes,
fight to not lose. So we can frame the narrative.
that's
It's
right.
just that we don't have to use we can use fear. They're coming after our
Sure.
children in Texas. They're transitioning children in Texas. They're telling children, don't tell your parents to do this. So we have a right to use fear because of what they're doing to kids in Leander, what they're doing to kids in Round Rock, what they're doing to kids in Austin, Texas now. We have the right to the living daylights out of mothers. Do you have any idea what's going on when you're not in class at your kid's school? Do you have any idea? We got to put cameras in our kids' school. Do you know what they're teaching your kids in Round Rock
Right.
ISD? Do you have any idea? We have factual fear because eventually they're going to be doing what California is doing. And what they're doing in Texas with basically weaponizing Round Rock ISD police, that's a legitimate fear. What a better way to
Evidence
talk about what's
based.
happening there. I'm telling you. So we can use that, but we have evidence. We have real legitimate. We have a regular police, a regular PD saying, no, I'm not coming to help you. And then we have a bunch of school board members saying, hey, we're going to hit the school police department, come in and arrest you. But you have no one that can come in and help you. There is legitimate issues that are in the state of Texas that we need to get under control now. So if we can't wrangle mamas, grandmamas, aunties, and uncles, and all of that, with just that right there, with just the weaponization of that starting just K through 12, there's tons of moms with that. And on top of the abortion, I mean, how many abortions up until birth are going on here?
Yes.
I'm telling you, it's happening. We have a legitimate cause. But like I said, it's legitimate. It's not used as birth control.
It's not fairy tale. And I always
You're
say
right.
fight fire with fire. Kambree, where can people
Yes.
go if they want to watch more content from you? I know that Twitter is an easy, well, X actually. I keep calling it Twitter still.
I
X
do
is
too.
it,
I do too.
but I always correct myself because I have too much respect for Elon Musk. On X, people can find you at Kambree TV, and where else can they go if they want to watch your program?
Oh, well, I am on TexasScorecard.com, and that is where all my 1 minute shorts do. I find the stories from TexasScorecard.com, and I basically take a story and I turn it into 1 minute, and I try to pick the stories that nobody in the state of Texas is even really talking about.
You do a great job
That's
of
my
that, by
goal.
the way.
Thank you. I appreciate
Yes.
it. I really
Thank you
appreciate it.
for coming on. I've enjoyed the conversation very much, and I look forward to speaking with you again.
Thanks. Anytime having me on. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. May God bless you, and may God continue to bless the great state of Texas. Stay dialed in to interviews and content just like this by clicking that follow button on my Facebook page, or hit the subscribe button to learn more about exclusive access that you won't want to miss.